This morning, I went out to get the mail. On the way back inside, I noticed a box wrapped in brown paper, addressed to me and sitting on the front porch. The label said it was sent overnight, so I figured it must have been dropped off either in the late delivery last night or early delivery this morning. I didn't think anything of it, really. I shop online all the time, and though I didn't recognize the return address, I thought it was probably something I'd ordered. Of course, I immediately opened it when I got inside. After tearing through the brown paper, the first thing I noticed was that the box was an Adidas shoebox. I love Adidas. They are my favorite shoes, and I've been wearing them since I was 10 years old. I must have 15 different pairs of Adidas sneakers currently in my closet. Gotta admit, I was excited just at the sight of the box. Maybe my husband ordered these for me as a gift. What an awesome guy. Anyway, with the thought new shoes running through my brain, obscuring all other thoughts, I wasted no time pulling off the top of the box. And guess what? Yay! Shoes! But I quickly realized these were not new shoes. Now, they didn't look ratty or worn. They were in fantastic condition, in fact. Supple, dark red suede, still soft to the touch. The sides of the soles, the Achilles protector and back, and the 3 leather stripes on both sides, still super bright white. They were classic Adidas Gazelles. Really awesome, I thought. And it's no wonder I liked them so much, because the shoes that I had just got in the mail, they were my old shoes. I bought these shoes, brand new, 15 years ago, when I was a junior in high school, using the money from my first real paycheck. They cost half my 2-week take-home pay, and that was one of the reasons I was so completely bummed when I lost them at St. Joseph's Hospital a week later. When I was 16, I bussed tables at a very busy pizza place 2 nights a week, and on the weekends too. The restaurant was about 1.5 miles away from my house, so I would walk there when my dad wouldn't let me take the car. There was a park just a couple of blocks away from my house, and that was a good shortcut there and back. When I bought the shoes, I wore them every night I worked, because I thought they looked especially good with my black uniform jeans and the white apron I had to wear. The night I lost my shoes, I took the shortcut through the park on my way home from work. It was almost always deserted there after dark, especially on weekdays. We lived in a good neighborhood full of families that tucked in every night as the sun was setting, and because it was a school night, even the high school kids who would sometimes come out late on the weekends and set up blankets to make out weren't going to be there either. I had no reason to think I would run into anybody on my way home that night. About halfway through the park, just as I began to cross through the middle where the little kids' playground was, I noticed somebody sitting on one of the swings looking in my direction. I assume it was a he, honestly, though I'm not totally sure, was dressed all in black, wearing a black knit cap with a full face mask, black gloves, and black shoes. He swayed slightly. He sat in on the little rubber seat, hands at his side, sort of hunched over and leaning on the left side chain. He seemed to be looking straight ahead. I knew he could see me from there. It was really creepy. Since I was in the middle of the park at this point, no other way out would have been quicker than to just keep on going on my normal path. I kinda went wide, trying to avoid walking near to the playground without looking like I was trying to avoid walking near the playground, but I hurried. My mind was racing with all the possibilities of who that person could be, how they were going to kill me, what they would do with my body. But I was old enough to realize that I was working myself up for what in great probability was nothing. I was well into my 3rd year of high school, so I knew that people did strange things all the time. I wanted to keep my wits about me and just get out of there quickly. I was almost fully past the playground. I could just start to see the neighborhood streetlights over the little hill, and I threw a quick glance over to the stranger. He didn't seem to be looking at me at all. His line of sight hadn't changed. I felt relieved, but only for a second. And then I heard the unexpectedly loud sound of the rattle of the chains on the swing, which caused me to jerk my head over in time to see him leap up from the seat. In what seemed like a millisecond and with full force, he was running directly at me. I took off. I never considered myself a fast runner, but I swear at that moment I was flying. I wasn't sure how close he was, but I could hear clearly the pounding of his footsteps behind me and his loud, heavy breathing. It sounded like a growl, vicious, almost inhuman. I heard him making a grunting noise, and I felt his hand wrap around my hair, which was in a braid in back. I jerked quickly to the right, whipping my head to the side, and luckily the black terry cloth hairband that I was wearing, and that he was holding on to, slipped out of my hair in his hand. Free from his grasp, I somehow ran even faster. I then cut sharply to the left, and I felt like I gained a few more steps on him, and finally I could see the house lying straight up ahead. If anything, the sight of it made me run even faster. I don't know when he stopped chasing me, but I burst from out of the tree-lined park running full speed as I crossed over the sidewalk, and then the gravel-filled parking strip between the sidewalk and the road, and then finally into the road, never slowing down. Well, until the car hit me. It was totally my fault, of course. The guy was driving pretty slow, but the impact launched me about 8 feet in front of the car. I immediately jumped up when I hit the ground, still trying to get away from the creep that was chasing me. Thank God he wasn't there though, because it turns out that my left ankle was pretty badly sprained and left arm was fractured, and so I probably couldn't have run anymore even if I had to. The poor old guy who was driving the car was a wreck. I felt really bad for him. He said he didn't see the person who was chasing me. My family lived just one street over. One of the neighbors in a nearby house heard the accident, recognized me sitting on the ground when they came outside and called my parents. They were there in less than 5 minutes. I explained everything to them about the man in the park as they drove me to the hospital. At the ER, when I got into an examination room, they made me take off my shoes and my clothes and put on a hospital gown. While I waited for the doctor to see me, a police officer came into the room and took my statement about the person in black clothes who was chasing me. He told me that they had not received any other reports of suspicious activity in the park, but they were going to look for the guy. He asked how I got away. I told him I ran really fast. He made a joke about how it had to be the shoes. I laughed. My mom and dad laughed too. He was a nice cop. To my knowledge, they never found the guy in the park. I ended up having to stay overnight so they could be sure I was okay. My mom folded up my clothes and put my shoes on top and set it all on the chair in my room. When the nurse came to check on me that night, she noticed my shoes on the chair. They were hard not to notice, I thought. Bright red and white. Super cool. I was already feeling loopy because of the pain medication, so when she said she liked my shoes, I told her that they saved my life. She didn't get the joke. I was out like a light that night. The next morning, I hurt a lot more than I had the night before. I was very cranky. I was anxious and still sort of scared, feeling nauseated from the pain and the pain medication which I was still taking, and when I looked for my shoes to take home, they were gone. I was really upset about it. I cried. I wept. I was certain that the nurse had stole them. My mom promised to replace them. That wasn't the point, I told her. I bought them with my own money. They saved my life. We asked around again. They couldn't find them. We left a note with the day nurse asking her to look for them and give us a call if they turned up. We never heard back. I had a rough couple of weeks there, getting over this whole thing. Nightmares at night. I was really jumpy during the day. I had to quit my job and I never walked through the park alone again. But it was only a year and a half until I went away to college, and there I had a lot of other better stuff on my mind. The man who hit me with his car sent me a Christmas card with a check for $25 every year until he passed away. I always felt bad for him. So I guess when I opened up the box this morning and saw the shoes, the first thing that popped into my mind was the nurse. Maybe she's in AA now and has to make up for her past wrongs or something. But she stole my shoes and never even wore them, kept them perfectly pristine and hiding in a shoebox, an Adidas box no less, for 15 years, and then one day just looked me up somehow and sent them to me. It doesn't make sense. I figured there must be a card or something in the box too. An explanation at least. I took out the shoes and began looking for a note or something. I looked in the scraps of brown paper too. There was no card, no folded piece of paper, no apology written in Sharpie on the box or anything else like that. Just the shoes. It's so easy to rationalize things when you have already chosen the best outcome for yourself. I was happy to have my shoes back. What circumstances could I construct that would allow me to remain happy to have my shoes back? So I decided the box was from the hospital. The day nurse probably found the shoes, but then forgot to call us. She probably attached the note that my mom wrote to the shoes, then somehow they ended up in a back room somewhere, and recently somebody came across them again. They saw our name on the note, found my address using my social security number, and sent them to me, probably not even realizing they'd been sitting around the hospital for 15 years. What a great story. That must be it. Happy ending. Favorite shoes returned to rightful owner. The end. So, excited to put them on again, I stuck my hand into the left shoe. I could tell it was a little tighter than my regular shoes. I loosened up the laces a little bit, and once I got it on, I thought it felt perfect. Then I stuck my hand into the right shoe to do the same thing. I felt something in there. I immediately pulled back. It's a horrible feeling, touching something you don't expect and you can't see. I paused for a second, wondering what I should do. What could be inside this shoe? I held it upright vertically, toes at the top, opening at the bottom, and banged the heel on the table. Two things fell out. First, and I recognized it immediately, the black terry cloth hairband that had been holding my braid together that night as I took the shortcut through the park after work. I could even see a few strands of my 16-year-old hair twisted in it. And second, there was a piece of paper about the size of a post-it note, with one sentence clearly and carefully printed on it. 6 words only, harmless words in and of themselves. But knowing who wrote them, wondering how he got my shoes that night, understanding that he's kept them for 15 years tucked away somewhere, trying to figure out how he knows where I live now and for how long he's known, imagining what on earth he could be planning and where and when. The note read, "You are going to need these."